Hi, I'm Stephen Price.
Hello, I'm Cara Githens.
This is the Innkeepers, a podcast by Sanctuary Inn. At Sanctuary Inn, we believe we are called to equip, refresh, and restore God's global workers.
On this podcast, we will be interviewing guests who have much to teach us about the many facets of missionary care. Let's learn together and be encouraged to press on in the work God has given each one of us to do. So Steve, share with us a little bit about our guest today.
Well, today our guest is Ruth, and we're only using her first name. But Ruth's life goal is to know Christ and to make him known. Ruth's parents were missionaries in Nigeria, and that's where she grew up. And she, at a young age, knew that cross-cultural ministry was something that she would be involved with too. So by the time she finished 10th grade, she decided that she was just tired of boarding school. And she asked her parents if she could move to Canada, live with her grandparents, and that worked well. Sadly, when she was 27, her parents died in a car crash in Canada. But she feels like this loss affected her life and gave her a great empathy for others who have experienced other life-altering losses. Later, she joined an international organization, and she's been involved in ministry in Liberia, Kenya, and South Africa, doing church planting, member care, hospitality, and discipleship. And for the last 12 years, she's enjoyed the privilege of encouraging teams and leaders in many different countries in Asia and Africa. Besides her family, her favorite people are the cross-cultural workers and their children. Discipleship, mentoring, coaching, and encouraging God's workers are her delights in life, and investing in leaders today so they can face the challenges of tomorrow.
Yeah, that sounds like a great story, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about how she is investing in missions leaders today.
Well, Ruth, welcome to the Innkeepers podcast. We'd like it if you could just take a minute and introduce yourself to our listeners.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I grew up in Nigeria. My parents were cross-cultural workers. And life for me started in a village, went to boarding school, got tired of boarding school. At the end of my grade 10 year, I asked my parents if I could move back to Canada and live with my grandparents. So I was able to do that. And that was just a huge gift to me as a TCK to be able to have that kind of soft landing. I knew at a pretty young age that I was going to do cross-cultural work as well. I just didn't know with where or what agency. It was all an open-ended thing. But I have always been thankful for how God has led in my life. And I've been able to lead an amazing life and have done all kinds of things globally. So, yeah, really thankful for what I get to do.
Wonderful. So you've been with your organization for 40 years. And in that time, what have been some of the things you've been able to do?
Yeah, I've had a huge amount of variety. I started off teaching in a public school system in Liberia, teaching Bible, and realized very quickly that it was not a good fit for me. It was just a super overwhelming context. So I switched and started leading Bible studies with businessmen's wives and embassy personnel. And I did a lot with newcomers who were just landing and getting their feet on the ground. And then, so that was kind of my Liberia story. And then when I landed in Kenya, I did quite a bit with caring for personnel, investing in them. I did, again, Bible studies. I did mentoring. I did discipleship. And then I think a big transition for me was down in South Africa. I had a lot to do with grandmothers in a township. Spent a lot of time investing in grandmothers and coordinating support groups for grandmothers who were either caring for or actually had children and grandchildren with HIV/AIDS.
Yeah.
So that was the context for doing that kind of ministry. I loved working through a local church, and I learned so much through that. People were generous, great hospitality, the opportunity for, again, discipleship and mentoring.
Mhm.
And then more recently, I've been in and out of Asia a great deal, but working much more closely with leaders and investing in leaders who are investing in personnel.
Mhm.
So you mentioned that, yeah, that's more of what you're doing now. So tell us a little bit more about what day-to-day ministry looks like for you.
Day-to-day ministry for me it usually means I wake up in the morning, I look at my phone to see what text messages came in overnight that I need to take care of immediately. I usually open my email within a half hour of getting up just to see if there's anything urgent because I'm involved with countries that are 15 hours away.
Hmm.
And so I need to think through is there something I need to deal with in a timely fashion for them?
Mhm.
If there's nothing urgent, then I enjoy my cup of coffee and my Bible study, and then I get back to other emails that have come in that are just in the day to day. Often it's Zoom calls, phone calls, the texting continues throughout the day, and often my evenings are busy again because people are getting up on the other side of the world, so that's when it works for us to connect. Their morning, my evening.
Mhm.
So I try to take a break in the middle of the day if I can.
Mhm. So the focus of your work right now is in leadership development. Is that correct?
No, I wouldn't call it leadership development. It's really leader care.
Okay.
I'm not trying to do the development side of it. That's really other people's expertise, but I am an available care person, listener, consultant.
Mhm.
If there's a crisis, I'll get called in.
Mhm. Are you traveling to people, or are you doing a lot of what you're doing via phone or Zoom?
I would say it's mostly phone, Zoom, and emails and texting. Um, I travel sometimes 3 times a year. By the end of this year, I will have made, I don't know, at least 4 trips. So this year has more travel in it than other times. My travel, I try to make 2 to 3 weeks at least in length because it makes it more worth it to be gone that long. And the opportunity to have face-to-face conversations, you just can't replace that.
Hmm.
So if I'm traveling that far, I try to stay
Mhm.
long enough to make it worth it.
Yeah. So in your early years, you were doing a lot of um, discipling and mentoring and caring for people and in their context in these various countries. And now you're kind of have this role of caring and mentoring and supporting leaders, even though you're far away many times. So it's kind of it's a different but the same is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, in many ways it's very much the same. And in fact, a leader might contact me and say, "Could you connect with this individual?" So then it comes down to not so much caring for the leader, but responding to the need that they have, where they need someone to come in and for a period of time, focus on one person or focus on one team.
Hmm.
So it does have an ebb and flow. I often think that my life could be described as those rotating doors.
Yeah.
Hmm.
People come in and I focus on who's there and then they move out. And just as they move out, someone else comes in.
Mm.
So I really have that sense that God is controlling the workload. I
Hmm.
don't feel any stress over it because I know if He knows there's more coming in, He knows how to transition people out. And often I only am connected with people for, I don't know, 3 to 4 months and then they move on because they reach a level of personal well-being where they can move on.
Hmm.
And there's no need to have a sense of them being dependent on me.
Hmm.
I'm available. I love being flexible where I can be available, but I know that there's other people that the Lord will bring in, and so He'll move people on.
Hmm.
Mm.
Makes for a very relaxing approach to life.
Mm.
Yeah. So you talked about some about team leadership. Can you share a little bit about what the importance of focusing and providing care for team leadership looks like.
Yeah, I think that our team leaders are pretty important people. They will always have a multicultural team. They will always have a team focus. But within a team, you always have individuals, and you've got individual different ministries. You have different things that are priorities for different people. You have different stress factors that come in. I think our team leaders have a lot of responsibility on them, both to provide care, but also to provide ongoing vision and focus for the team. And if there's a crisis that comes up, they are the main person. They're the contact person. And so you often think, well, who cares for them?
Yeah.
I think that with our team leaders, and I think that with our directors, who cares for them? Because they are caring for other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So often the problem that crops up comes probably through the team leader to the team, or the team leader becomes aware of it and they need to seek help or counsel of some kind.
Yeah, and often it's just a safe sounding board. Because often they have good ideas. They just need an opportunity to talk it through. And then they realize, yeah, they are thinking clearly. And they actually have the wisdom to be able to manage the situation in that scenario. And so sometimes they just need someone to talk it through with, and then they're up and running. So that's an encouraging thing to see as well.
Yeah. How would you say the concerns of the leaders are slightly different from those in the organization?
I think when I think about the difference of concerns for leadership versus the normal person on the ground who's just involved in day-to-day living and having an impact locally, it has been the thing I keep thinking is they have to both sustain the vision, they have to manage the admin, they are managing pastoral care, they're managing the agenda on them is very wide. I think the average person that's got their feet on the ground and is involved and engaged in activities on the ground, they will have one or two ministries that they're involved with. They have a specific focus that they get to put their time and focus on. So while there's overlap, the person on the ground is focused on a smaller amount, and that's where they're making their investment. I think leaders are often they're one or two layers back, and it's a little, they might themselves wish they could be on the ground. So they have a gap maybe in their own life and feeling like, I'm not on the ground, I'm not getting to do stuff. I'm providing support for other people. And so continuing to have a sense of the value of that and the huge importance of that is important that they sustain that sense of the value of what they're doing, because what they're doing actually makes it possible for people on the ground to get on with the work that's in front of them.
Yeah. And as I listen to you, I would guess sometimes it's a little more lonely at the higher up the leadership.
Yes, which I think is why leader care is so important. Leadership development is another avenue completely. But how do you support, encourage, care for, and be an alongside person for a leader is actually crucial, not just for them, but for the people they care for, because it has a ripple down effect.
Oh, for sure. Healthy leaders influence their whole.
Exactly.
Everyone underneath influences everyone. An unhealthy leader, the same thing. The influences of you can see it pretty starkly, the difference.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump onto the idea of member care then. So in the different things you've done over the years, member care has been a big priority for you. Can you talk a little bit about why it's important?
Yeah, I think that individuals who travel and work cross-culturally, they leave behind family, they leave behind their network, their support system from behind. on their from their passport country. And so they end up in a country where they themselves might feel quite isolated. It's very difficult to feel connected as soon as you land. Um, it's difficult to learn language sometimes. It takes even longer to get into ministry sometimes. And so they can have, discouragement can hit really hard.
Mhm.
Loneliness can hit very hard. Culture shock can hit hard. Homesickness can hit hard. And so providing that alongside person, whether it's, we try to have people locally that can do that for them. I think it's vital. I think it's vital to their personal well-being. I think it's vital to their spiritual well-being. I think it's vital to their emotional well-being. I think it's vital to their future. If things aren't addressed in the moment, in that context, then there can just be so much toll,
Mhm.
and the price tag can be really high.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Lack of care on the ground has an enormous price tag.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I was thinking sometimes leaders are in the midst of this transition, even as their team members are in the same transition, yet more is expected of them, and how that can be so hard. It's like I'm struggling just as much as you, yet you're looking to me to have the answers, and I don't have the answers. So how hard that can be for
Yeah.
times, a whole team arrives together or whatever the scenario may be.
Well, and I think cross-cultural work, the very nature of it is constant transition.
Mhm.
Yeah,
With the new people arriving, other people leaving, unexpected things happening, it is constant transition, and that in itself takes its toll.
for sure.
Mhm. Mhm. What are some of the benefits of good member care?
I guess the flip side, you don't just have personally, individually healthy people, but you have people that are able to help take care of other people.
Mhm.
So when you have good member care and you've got people that are healthy, they themselves have the wherewithal to start to invest in other people, and you start to see teams being knitted together. Because ultimately, it takes people inside of a team to pull a team together. It can't all come from outside, but when people are healthy, they will look out for each other. They'll start to create family for each other. They'll start to create a sense of we are a unit. We care about each other. We are here for each other. Um, People become aunts and uncles for each other, for their children. It becomes really a multi-generational, multicultural unit instead of this person, this person. It actually starts to get knitted together.
Mhm.
I think it also provides safe places for conversation.
Mhm.
Intentional care for people lets them know who's safe, and they start to have a sense of I have someone I can go and talk to.
Mhm. Yeah. And that's a huge help in the isolation that so many people feel. If they have a
Mm.
place to go talk,
Yeah.
um, then that lowers so much stress.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't like to think of missions just in a dollars and cents kind of thing, but if you think of the amount of money someone's invested in schooling and specialized training and, you know, pre-field training and all those different things, and then to think that they land somewhere with no support and no care of any kind, um, it's just it's a waste. I mean,
Yeah.
it's, if they need that support and it's not there, I just that from a financial perspective, it's I mean, that's the small part. I mean, the emotional toll is huge, but just to think of the investment someone has made and churches have made and the promises they've made to people, and then they get uprooted sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's the financial side to it, but it's so much, as you're saying, it's so much bigger than the
So much
financial.
bigger. Yeah.
And it has an enormous ripple effect.
Hmm.
if it's not offered and received and available. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
it's certainly um, to me, I've realized it's a focus of my life that's worth having.
Yeah. The huge impact that can come from caring
Yeah.
for leaders and teams. And some of your work, I believe you work with teams and helping them have more preventative care rather than crisis management. Can you expand on that a little bit for us?
Yeah, I have become increasingly convinced that providing options for training, providing options for ways of investing in teams is really, really important. Sometimes it's as simple as creating a space where they can gather together to talk about things, creating workshops where they come together and the workshop has a focus and they can learn from each other. So
Mhm.
they realize they've got experts amongst them. They can learn from each other. They can share with each other. They can share their stories. They can share their ideas. They can share their experience, and they can together learn.
Mhm.
So it might be that they learn common language around a topic. It might be that they learn ideas they start to share ideas on how to handle certain kinds of scenarios. They start to build a sense of community around what does it mean to really live out who we are and do it well in our context. What are ways that we can support each other in the work that we're doing? So they just, by bringing them together and having a safe place to have deep conversations, they walk out of those times together knowing each other better, more aware of what they can offer each other, more aware of who they can go to if they face a challenging situation. So it helps them have a safe place where they can start to get knit together through conversation and dialogue and healthy discussion and answering healthy questions and just getting to know each other can make such a difference.
So I'm guessing that if that kind of communication is fostered, then when a crisis does hit, which it inevitably will on the field, they're much more better equipped to
Oh, yeah.
have the hard conversations.
And even to know how to support each other.
Hmm.
They know each other, and so
Hmm.
they know how to support each other because they've gotten to know each other and they've learned to experience joy together and celebration together, and they've done all of these normal life things together. And so when a curveball comes, which it will, they know each other, they have their circle of friends that are right there for them. And that can make all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
In fact, they find that teams that go through crisis together are actually stronger as a unit.
If they've been able to go through it instead
Yeah,
of exploding, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Hardship can strengthen us for sure. For sure.
Oh, yeah. And when you walk through a hard time with someone, they're like such a good friend to you for the rest of your life.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
How do you help your team leaders be as effective as they can?
Um, I really encourage personal well-being. As we were saying earlier, what a person is overflows into how they impact others. And that's true whether it's, individual to individual or if it's leader to others. I encourage a servant's heart, a willingness to listen, and to see others as people they also can learn from. So if they have a learning heart and a servant's heart, they are more likely to continue to keep growing as individuals. So emphasizing that vertical relationship so that the horizontal relationships are strong, and even being able to see horizontal relationships as mirrors, possibly, of what might be needing to be addressed in the vertical relationship. So if they are putting pressure on everyone around them, what is that saying about how they're feeling in their relationship with God?
Mm.
Are they actually feeling like God has put pressure on them and they're trying to perform for God? And so they're just pushing that onto other people. Or what would it look like for them to recognize that they can depend on God and they can encourage their team also to depend on God rather than driving them? That's just an illustration.
Yeah. Yeah. Emotional and spiritual, physical health of a leader is directly impacts their ability to lead, is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, very much so.
Mhm.
Very much so. And if a leader never takes a break, never rests, it's a very strong message to his team that they too can't take a break and they can't rest. So what they model is what they will produce.
Hmm.
So helping them to pull back and actually look objectively at what am I modeling and what could I change so that I actually am modeling something that's really healthy to the team.
Hmm.
So a greater self-awareness. And I'm guessing in these conversations you're having with leaders, you're asking them and inviting them into this awareness of where they are at and perhaps what needs to change.
I primarily take a listening approach. And then if something tweaks my concern level, then I'll bring it up.
Mhm.
So I try to go in listening. I try not to go in with a list in front of me, but rather listen well to what's going on in their hearts and then take the conversation from there, see what they want to talk about.
Hmm. If there's a crisis in team leadership, how do you hear about it? Are you hearing about it from those serving under the leader, those who are over the leader, or is it a little bit of both? Or
Yeah, it really depends on what my prior relationship is with the team. If I already know individuals on the team, then I'll hear about it through individuals on the team. If I have no prior relationship, then I might be contacted from someone higher up and say, asked if I would be willing to help. So it comes from both directions.
Hmm.
And when a request comes, my response is not automatically yes. My response is more, okay, so what's really in front of me? What do I need to, where do I need my priorities to be? Is this something that I'm actually available for or not?
Hmm.
You're trying to be wise about what you take on as
Oh
well.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So I'm within your organization, it's very multicultural teams. What do those teams look like? What are the specific dynamics that are unique to very multicultural teams?
Um, a lot of our teams will have 6 or 8 different cultures on them. Multicultural is standard,
Uh-huh.
which is fine. We love it. I think a healthy multicultural team, they understand each other, they give grace to each other, they are willing to adapt themselves in order to adjust to each other. They enjoy the variety of culture. They know when to blend and when to not worry about blending. They make space for differences. They choose to major on what is important and minor on the things that are not important. And they still have one focus, one purpose in ministry, and they can complement each other because of variety of ways of understanding the world.
Mhm.
It's a lot of work for multicultural teams to work well together. But in the body of Christ, when we are called to love, it's amazing how powerful love is.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And when we know we are loved by God for who we are and for how He designed us, and we are willing to see in others the beauty of God's design in them, then He gives us joy and grace and delight in valuing other people
Hmm.
and valuing differences and recognizing commonalities.
Mhm.
Hmm. Can you talk a little bit about a team where someone who's from a country that might more naturally assume leadership isn't the team leader, and their team leader is someone who's maybe from a culture or society where they aren't necessarily seen as a leader, but it's just kind of, I can imagine there's a little bit of struggle there sometimes when people who naturally might assume leadership aren't the lead aren't the quote unquote team leader, but they have to learn how to function in a team.
I think the bottom line is that there are some personalities that are more leadership oriented,
Okay.
and those they might struggle with someone who has a different style of leadership that isn't the overt leadership style that we might traditionally value or depending on culture, put a priority on. But there are some cultures that understand the importance of other ways of doing things. And in different contexts, they are actually they're the most powerful leaders.
Hmm.
Those that understand how groups work, for instance. When you get into a context where the community is valued and the group making group decisions is valued and dealing with having conversations with groups of people, they are far more skilled at handling those situations. And so I think others who might want more of the individual conversations and individual confrontation or whatever, all the individualness of some societies, they can end up standing back in awe as they watch something else happen. Now, the struggle can come if they're not willing to flex, if they're having a hard time letting go of a particular style, or if they prioritize a certain style and say, well, this is the right way to do it.
Hmm. Okay.
Being able to recognize that there isn't one right way to do something. And often God accomplishes far more by using an alternate way. So, yeah, it's work.
Yeah.
It's work.
Can you maybe line out, some of the ways cultural differences play out, like some broad generalizations is maybe what I'm asking for, but where you see tension and conflict happen, what are the kind of common reoccurring themes you're seeing?
Some of the ways in which people have to adjust because of cultural differences can be everything from family dynamics, style of decision making, humor, styles of humor, food.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Um, some cultures stay up late, other cultures go to bed early and get up early. Um, response for how to communicate, response to authority. Some cultures are more, what's the word? More acquiescing to authority, and others are more challenging of authority.
Mhm.
So you have those differences. There's just the list of differences can be value of time
Mm-hmm.
or view of time,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Use
view
of
of
time.
hierarchy
Yeah.
versus non-hierarchical.
Yeah.
It just goes on and on and on.
Mm.
There's almost not a part of who we are that isn't potentially different from other people
Due to our culture.
due to our culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. So doing the work of understanding and appreciating other cultures is, although it's a lot of work, it is really worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a reality that many sending churches perhaps don't realize, that often when someone is going overseas, they're not only going to learn the culture of the country they're going to, but also the country of their whole team. And I mean, the
Yeah.
culture that kind of gets agreed upon by a multicultural team, as well as the individual differences that they're navigating. And so there's just layers of things to learn
Yeah.
that can be very, very taxing, I think, and
Yeah.
take time to learn.
And I think sometimes we owe it to people to, in advance, give them as much heads up on actually a very important part of their transition to another culture is to learn how to get along with the subcultures on the team.
Hmm.
Because in the end, we all know that what the world watches is how we get along.
Mm. Yeah.
And that includes the multicultural teams.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So doing this inner work doing the inner work inside of ourselves and then doing the inner work inside of the team is critical for the community that's watching. They deserve to see us individually doing well and as a body doing well, because that is, I believe, our strongest testimony.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would seem that Philippians 2 should just be just like, okay, we're all going to memorize Philippians 2. We're going to come back together and we're going to talk again, but
Yeah. Humility
humility and
is so
yeah,
needed.
being
Yeah.
willing to set aside things we feel privileged or entitled to and
Yeah.
yeah. What have you seen happen in teams that you feel like just really clicking with one another? Is it those that deferring to one another, or is it a lot of different things?
No, I think there's tremendous joy. There's a
Mm,
common sense of purpose. I think there's a sense of synergy. I think that they live out the one another commands, but I think they also know how to disagree with each other, and
mm,
they're able to benefit from intense conversations
mm,
without losing relationship. And I think
mhm,
that's the that is one of the foundational things that we don't we don't naturally do well. Hold on to relationships in the midst of disagreement.
mm,
But I think teams that are clicking and doing well and leaders that are leading well are able to manage disagreements without losing relationship.
mm. That's good.
It sounds like being able to have conflict, healthy conversations that
Right.
maybe aren't always pleasant. And maybe it takes a long time to hear the other side and understand where the other person is coming from.
And maybe we go too quickly to the term conflict. Maybe
Mm,
it's just differences of opinion,
mhm,
which actually is important because when someone else can give a different opinion, it gives me an alternate to think about. It doesn't mean it's a conflict, but at least it can grow me because I suddenly am going, oh, I
right.
hadn't thought of that.
Mhm.
That's worth considering.
Mhm.
And so it's less of a conflict and more of a conversation that has new input coming into it. And if I've got too much skin in the game, I'll be defensive.
Mhm,
And maybe my defensiveness is my weak point,
mm,
where actually new ideas are surfacing, new options are coming up, and
Yeah.
they also are important.
mm.
Yeah.
I just think parenting style and food preferences, just those two alone could
Yeah.
could
And
could yeah.
that can happen on even a monocultural team.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Hmm.
There are a million ways to be
Different.
different and be upset with those differences, or there's like you're saying, a million ways to learn and
Yeah.
grow and be open to um, another perspective. And I think what you're coming to is there's really an attitude shift of
Yeah.
how you perceive differences, and are they a threat, or are they something that you can.
Yeah. I think we all are constantly choosing whether or not we will extend grace to each other.
Mm,
Hmm.
And choosing to extend grace means you keep your mouth shut a little longer. You value another person, you value their opinion, um, and you see them as a person who has something really worth contributing.
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
thank you.
Yeah.
So, we've kind of gone around some different topics that are your specialty and your focus, specifically with really coming alongside leaders and teams. And um, if someone wanted to learn a little bit more about this whole area of teams and leaders and coming alongside leaders, what are some resources or tools or something that you might recommend?
Yeah, I'm glad you gave me that question in advance so I could think about it.
Okay.
Um, there's four books really came to my mind. Um, One is a book called The Contrarian's Guide to Leadership.
Okay.
It's written by a guy who really, I think there's a lot of traditional leadership models that are really just not great.
Mm.
But this book, The Contrarian's Guide to Leadership, thinks outside the box
Okay.
and helps a person really get down to what matters and how do I work well with people around me. It's a very good book. Um, Another book, I've been increasingly aware that inside of churches and Christian organizations, there are a lot of narcissistic people.
Hmm.
And therefore, we need to know how to handle them. But the reality is, we all are a little bit narcissistic.
Yeah.
There's always some level of narcissism in all of us. So we need to learn how to handle that in each other and in ourselves, even if it's only a small portion there. And one of the key components for dealing with a narcissist is to have a group ethos. Because if one person starts fighting another person over you can't dominate me or you can't do this, you end up creating two narcissists.
Mm.
But in a context of a group, you can say to the person, we don't treat people in our community, we don't treat people that way. And so then they lose that ability to divide and conquer because the group stands together.
Mm.
And the book that has helped me tremendously on this is the book called The Pandora Problem. It's a really good book. And there's so many times when, from a secular perspective, they just say, if you run into a narcissist, just leave.
Mm.
Just separate from them. There's no hope. But this book actually gives hope. And so I think it's really an important one.
Hmm.
An old book that I have really found powerful in my life is an old book called Born Crucified.
Mm.
Steve will have heard of this one.
I have.
Yes. The reason I'm referencing it is we can go through life thinking about what can I do? We can go through life thinking it's all on me. And we can become quite defensive of our own egos. But if we really want to be effective in life, we have to know how to accept the cross in our own lives. Discipleship is founded on take up your cross and follow me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure that there's a lot of real teaching on that. Not enough anyway. But this book is a good summary of that topic. It's come out in different editions more recently, but it is available. And then finally, the book Rare Leadership. I think the book needs a different title. It could be called Rare Relationships, not just leadership, but rare
Hmm.
relationships. But rare stands for um, retain relationships. A is act like yourself. The second R is return to joy. And E is endure hardship.
Okay.
Those are four habits. If people will build those into their life, they will have strong relationships. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean life will be easy, but they will have strong relationships and they will continually go back to the relationships matter, but not relationship at any cost because they'll
Mhm.
be able to think through what really matters.
Mhm.
So it's a really good book. It also talks about how God has designed us to relate to people. Um, how did he design our brain for how we relate to people?
Mhm.
So it's a really good book. There's two copies, there's two versions of it. One is white and one is green. The
Okay.
white one has more of the details of what's behind this thinking, behind this model.
Okay.
So those are
Yeah.
four books that I think are good.
I've read I've read some of those thoughts in, and maybe it's by the same authors, I don't know, but just the whole idea of returning to joy, that's definitely stands out as part of what I was reading. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I mean, there's just wisdom here that leadership is a hard thing, but it is necessary, as you said, and we need good leaders and we need good relationships good teams, good for effective long-term
Cross-cultural
impact.
work. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You were mentioning how a team that's functioning well is a team that's having a lot of influence, not just in the ministry they're doing, but in the lives that they're living.
Hmm.
And the people around are observing and
Yeah.
watching that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Very true.
Well, thank you so much for your time and sharing your wisdom and your experience,
You're welcome.
and it's just a joy to have this conversation with you.
Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you.
Well, Cara, how did you enjoy that interview with Ruth?
Yes, it was so good to hear from Ruth and her years of experience and her wisdom that she's gleaned from all these different ministry experiences, and now how she within her organization has this opportunity to be a support to leaders. I just think what a gift to these leaders to have someone that they can call, that they can have step in crisis and have a sounding board. And I hope that the organization she is with isn't the only one doing this, that there are others out there providing much needed support to leaders.
Yeah. Well, and I was really encouraged when she was talking about just taking care of the leaders, so that if the leaders are healthy and doing well, then the team is probably doing well, and the healthy leader just trickles down into the healthy team. And so it's just really, it's great that we could hear from her and hear about her heart to help, shepherd and care for the leaders in their organization.
Yes. So thanks so much for joining us, and we hope that you can join us next time, and make sure you subscribe if you haven't yet subscribed, and I hope you have a great day. Take care.
Thank you for joining us for the Innkeepers podcast. Our mission at Sanctuary Inn is to equip, refresh, and restore God's global workers. We hope today's podcast was an encouragement to you, or maybe the podcast you heard today, you've been prompted to pass this along to someone you know that could benefit from today's conversation. Creating a podcast is a team effort. Cara and I prepare and do the interviews, and we're grateful for the time that our guests give us out of their busy lives to help us learn more about missionary care.
We want to thank Tim Downing for the music he wrote and performed for the Innkeepers podcast. Tim is a very talented musician, and you can find out more about Tim at downingkeys.com. Our podcast is edited by Javier Bolanos, and our website and show notes are prepared by Micah Githens, my amazing husband. You can visit the Sanctuary Inn website to see more of Micah's great work at sanctuaryinn.org.
Thank you for joining us on our journey to learn more about missionary care.